Ladies and gentlemen, sorry that I cannot visit you in Brussels because the European Parliament meets in Strasbourg and even the Commission will be in Strasbourg this week. I know that you look after a very important sector, and especially the mobility question, the transport question, the whole logistics are of utmost importance between the continent and the United Kingdom. And therefore, our economies have so close contacts that it will be difficult if we would have a hard Brexit. But we can, after Salzburg, we cannot say anymore that this is not possible, that we will have a hard Brexit. If we see that in the United Kingdom, the government and the governing party is totally split, if we have seen that in the party congress of the Labour Party, there's also no clear direction, if we see that the fight for position for new elections and changing of government is more important than anything else, even as Brexit, despite the dangers and the threats of Brexit, where we will all suffer from. United Kingdom more than we will do, because United Kingdom is much smaller than the European Union without United Kingdom, and therefore they will suffer much more. They will have the problem that investors who produce, especially in the United Kingdom, because the United Kingdom is the gate to Europe, will leave and will disinvest and will put their future production on the continental market. We have to see that also in the future we will have then a very hard and bitter relationship. The problems of air traffic will not be solved. The question of trains, the questions of customs and waiting lines for trucks on both sides would be incredibly high and incredibly high costs. And we know that the policy of just in time would be not anymore possible. In the car industry alone, more than 50% of the parts for cars who are assembled in the United Kingdom come from the continent. The rotation of qualified personnel is of the utmost importance in many cases for companies, and it would become very, very expensive if there is no free market for the movement of labor. So it would mean a considerable backlash for both sides, but for Britain more. How is now the situation? We had agreed for the sequences with the Brits 1.5 years ago. That was to negotiate a withdrawal agreement, find within the withdrawal agreement then time for a transitional period, and this transitional period negotiate the details of the future relationships. We got for the first time the British position in July with the Chequers paper. The Chequers paper neglects these sequences. The Chequers papers has nearly an internal market membership of the United Kingdom for goods. And Britain has not understood that we will not divide the 4 freedoms we have in the internal market. The freedom for capital, for services, for goods and for personnel. And there will be in no way the possibility to destroy the integrity of the internal market, because this is of the highest interest, both for politics and business. In Salzburg, the leaders have told that to Mrs. May. That is not an insult. That is a position the European Union had from the very beginning. And we will stick to this opinion. So my idea is that after the Tory Party Congress in this week, the negotiators should sit together and find a proper way out via a withdrawal agreement. The withdrawal agreement is already to 85% negotiated. Mostly it's only the question of Ireland, because we do not want to have a hard border between the 2 Irelands. This is the agreement of both sides. And the British government has made commitments to that. And the difficulty is how to define where to do the checks, the controls, both in customs and quality and all that. This is not possible with this type of customs cooperation where European Union custom officers should collect different customs, both the British one and the European one. I think that is too much possibilities of withdrawal and of betrayal and of other reasons which do not work. Our proposal is There are certain checks in the harbors of Dublin and Bristol. These checks already happen. In question of food, livestock, sanitary measures. And to have that broadened to goods in general makes it possible in a technical way, not create an international law-binding border between the two islands to make that possible. And if we have that on board, then we can have a framework agreement and a framework declaration in this, where we can say, please, after this agreement, we can negotiate the far-reaching free trade agreement. We can offer also the customs union, we can offer the European Economic Area, but both proposals Britain wants not to consider, so it's left a free trade agreement, even stronger than that with Canada, and where we can introduce also a question of logistics, where we have to find a solution. And we can have also special arrangement in agreements. We have to do it in any way, in the question of internal and external security, on research, on Erasmus, and a link, for example, on air traffic. But the conditions for that to have a proper exit with a withdrawal agreement. Afterwards, otherwise, it's hard Brexit, what many people in the British government wants to achieve. And we have to see that all your problems you have can be easily solved if we get a withdrawal agreement. But we cannot have solutions which will neglect that Britain has decided to leave the European Union and has to take the responsibilities for that. We cannot have in individual cases, even not in logistic agreements, without a withdrawal agreement, where at the end of the day, Britain is everywhere equal with members of the European Union, of the internal market, this without taking the cost of the internal market of the European Union. This is cherry picking. And therefore, I would like to invite you not to have the wrong hopes, but talk to the British government, make a withdrawal agreement possible, and then have proper negotiations for the future which will solve also your problems. But not something in between, in individual cases that makes a hard Brexit more comfortable for the United Kingdom. And I think that should be very clear, that we as the European Union will stick together to defend the integrity of the internal market, because this is our overall interest. And here I think we should cooperate closely in the weeks to come to a proper solution that especially also your problems can be solved in a proper way with a withdrawal agreement, further negotiations. Thank you very much.